April 20th, 1889, Adolf Hitler was born in Braunau am Inn in Austria-Hungary. He was the fourth of six born to Alois and Clara Hitler. Hitler was plagued by deaths in his family during his childhood. He was one of only two children who survived to adulthood. After the death of his younger brother Edmund, Adolf's whole personality changed. While Edmund was alive, Adolf was a competent, ongoing, and conscientious student, whereas after he became rather sullen, lazy, and morose.
As a boy, Adolf Hitler took interest in the arts of German nationalism. Young Adolf's interest in the arts put him at odds with his father from an early age. Adolf wanted to go to a classic high school in hopes of becoming an artist, but Alois had other plans enrolling his son in a Realschule in September 1900. Adolf's plan to get his father to allow him to devote himself to his dream, as later related in Mein Kampf, was poorly in his studies. This would come back to haunt him down the road. Vienna's Academy of Fine Arts rejected him once due to his limited education, and another time because he was unfit for painting. World War I saw Hitler's enlistment in the German army. He was assigned to the 16th Bavarian Reserve Infantry Regiment as a dispatch runner, carrying orders from officers to soldiers from the front lines. Wounded twice during the war, he was highly decorated for his corporal receiving the Iron Cross First Class and the Black Wound Badge. It was while recovering from a mustard gas attack in the hospital outside of Berlin that Hitler learned of Germany's surrender. Hitler was devastated by the news. He considered his wartime experiences as the greatest in his life. Indeed, if his time in Vienna saw the beginning of his ideology, then World War I saw it strengthened. Many members of the German military saw the surrender as a betrayal, or Dolchstoßlegende, being the idea that Germany had not lost the war but was stabbed in the back by the civilians on the home front. Hitler shared his bitterness with the German nationalists, for they believed that the German army could and would emerge victorious from the war. The terms of the Treaty of Versailles would only add salt to the wounds, as a humiliation of attributing Germany as the cause of the war. After the war, Hitler remained in the army. He was assigned as a reconnaissance officer whose job was to educate soldiers in the right-wing principles and to inform on possible political enemies. As an informant, he was also required to act as a spy. It was in his capacity Hitler discovered the German Worker Party.
You asked to see me, sir.
Corporal, I have a job for you. I need you to investigate the German Worker Party.
What are their leanings?
I need you to find out if they're lefty revolutionaries, and if so, I need you to eradicate them.
Yes, sir. I'll discover what sort of party they really are.
We have a meeting at the Hofbrauhaus. Be there.
I will be there.
Hitler's appointment to Chancellor in Germany on January 30th, 1933 was unofficially marked as the beginning of the end of the German nation. During the March of 1933, the Enabling Act was passed, giving all powers of legislation to Hitler. Additionally, all the parties and trade unions are to be disbanded, and the Nazi officials become state governors. In less than 2 months, Adolf Hitler went from leader of a raiding political party to the dictator of a nation. From that point on, Hitler would impose upon the German people his policies of hatred and annihilation. Some would even ask how the German people allowed such a man to lead their country, and further even to why they would follow along this magnificent plan. The Hitler myth is the answer. Hitler fashioned an image based upon the belief already seated within the German people, that of a heroic leader. This belief is the strong, fearless, and ruthless leader was needed to save Germany from its current plight was already centuries old, and the current state of the country made it right for such a person to take power. This person, the leader, or Führer, was expected to have total control of affairs of his nation and people. Germany was suffocating underneath the extreme terms of the Versailles Treaty and was hit especially hard by the Great Depression. In conditions like these, German society was especially susceptible to the charismatically manipulative maneuvers of Adolf Hitler.
Because of my conviction that we must begin the rescue work now if we do not want to come too late, I declare my willingness on January 30th to use the movement that began with a force of 7 men is now grown to a force of 12 million towards saving the German Volk and Vaterland. And a number of great tasks tower before us. The best and thus the first of our we do not lie and we do not want to con. This is the reason why I refuse to step before this Volk and make cheap promises. No one here can stand up against me and testify that I have said that the German resurrection will be a matter of few days. Again and again I preach. The resurrection of the German nation is a question of recovering the inner strength and health of the German Volk. Just as I myself have worked for 14 years without rest and without ever wavering to build this movement, and just as I have succeeded in turning 7 men into a force of 12 million, in the same way I want, and we all want, to build and work on giving new heart to the German Volk. Just as the movement today has given the responsibility of the leadership of the German Reich, so shall one day we lead this German Reich back to life and to greatness. We are determined to allow nothing to shake us. It should never be made the mistake of believing that life, liberty, and happiness will fall from heaven. Everything is rooted in one's own will and one's own work. The fundamentals of our life are founded on values which no one can take away from us except for ourselves. They are founded on flesh and blood and willpower and in our soil. Thus, this program will be a program of national resurrection in all the areas of life, intolerant against anyone who sins against nation, but a brother and friend to anyone who has the will to fight for the resurrection of the Volk of our nation. Therefore, I today address my final appeal to my Volksgenossen. On January 30th, we took our government. Devastating conditions have descended upon our Volk. It is our desire to remedy them, and we will succeed in doing so. Just as we eliminate these adversaries despite all the scorn, we shall also eliminate the consequence of the rule. Considering this, it is not presumptuous of me to stand before this nation today and plead of it. German Volk, give us 4 years, and then pass judgment on us. German Volk, give us 4 years, and I swear to you, just as I take this office, so shall I leave it. I have done it neither for salary nor for wages. I have done it for the sake of the German people.